Independent fishermen discovered that you didn't have to own a trap to braille trap fish in the dark of night. In coastal communities, the trap pirates were initially viewed somewhat like Robin Hoods, who robbed from the rich for the sake of the poor. Early day trap robbery was not considered too malicious. Although some cannery men were quick to invoke sanctions, most were reluctant to do anything about the situation, and the robbers felt they were taking only fish that unfair competition had deprived them of. If trap robbing once bordered on sport, it became a shooting war after World War I, and trap owners resorted to placing armed watchmen aboard their traps. Goodbranson signed on as a watchman in his early 20s.
Basically, this was the type of a fishing shack, a trap shack that we lived in. Some of them were on traps where they had a night watchman and a day watchman, and they were just tiny little shacks. But this kind of a house was one for 2 watchmen. And once you got out there, which would usually be in the tail end of June, you wouldn't see land again until maybe the middle of September. So it was a long, dragged out thing, especially when I was 21 and I got on APA Trap 12 in Boundary Bay with my partner was 3 times my age, you know, and kid at 21, well, that's kind of hard to spend the next 3 months with, but that's what had to take place. There was, I don't know exactly how big these were, but here's the stovepipe, and there was a stove was right in this corner, a tiny table here. One bunk went this way, and the other bunk went in this way, and there was room to walk between, but that's about all it was. But we lived out there and got by. I don't know, it wasn't easy, but I spent a lot of time rowing around and cleaning the lead and stuff like that, and you kind of had to make yourself busy. So that's about what it was. We burned coal in the stove, and they delivered the coal to us, and that was the life of a watchman.
After a few encounters with the pirates, the young fisherman acquired a dramatic means of discouraging further visits.
The gun was a 45-90 lever-action Winchester. And probably the one used to kill the buffalo. It was that old enough to be anyway. He would throw a fearsome chunk of lead into the night, though, if there's any fish pirates came around. This fellow that I watched trap with, he was afraid of fish pirates, and when he'd hear somebody, well, he'd say, "Carl, somebody out there, go out and chase them away." He'd pull the covers over his head and go back to sleep again. But I finally got onto a scheme, and I would go out and talk to him and never let him up the ladder. I'd go up and talk to him, and I'd say, "Boy, we got a bad one inside there. He's terrible temper. I don't want to wake him up. For God, don't make any noise," and so on. And they'd move, usually. They didn't want to face that fearsome man in the bunk.